we deal with clicks rather than bricks. So although there's property in the name, there's actually nothing to do whatsoever with bricks and mortar. Martin is my digital marketing manager, and he's been very much involved with the actual application of GDPR to ourselves, and in fact to some of our clients too, because the important thing is applying it, really. It's not necessarily knowing the detail of the law, which is terribly dull and dreadfully dry, but it's how it works, how it impacts on you.
Yes, as I was saying, in terms of intangible assets, it's only become more clear and clear over the past 10 years that data itself has become a massive asset for companies. And with GDPR, there comes a new onus and emphasis on protecting it and really valuing it within businesses. So, as we're saying, it's something which will emerge more and more over the coming years, and especially on May the 25th, of course. That's something that people will have to look at very closely, and that's something that we are delighted to help them do.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the whole process in Beauty Directors Club, and I'm actually going to walk my business through the whole process, and then, because I think it's just so daunting, so I'm going to go through the whole process and then have it so everyone's got all the paperwork and everything, so they can just follow what I've done, and we're just making sure that we're getting it exactly right. So I'd like to know how strict do you think GDPR is going to be, and how they're going to police it, because it's massive.
It is. And actually, I was saying to Martin before we started, I'm old enough to remember when the Data Protection Act came in 1998, and how the Data Protection Registrar enforced a lot of the legislation quite rigorously, and particularly against the big players in the market who were really rather slack with data at the time. And so I think there's going to be a big impact at first, and then it's going to diminish slightly. But Martin, you had some thoughts about that too, didn't you?
Yes, so one of the most interesting factors about GDPR is, what with it being such a unilateral piece of legislation, there is actually a bit of guidance within the GDPR to suggest that one must look at their people that they're working with. So one of the big things about data, when you use it in a company, is you tend to share it around. So you receive a piece of data that then may go off to a supplier or somebody that you work with. And the GDPR does ask that obviously you have certain provisions in your own company to look after this data. But if you send it then forward onto somebody else, a supplier, etc., you're also to a certain degree responsible for them. So it asks you as a data controller, as somebody who's collected data, to ensure that people that you are sharing with are also compliant, because as we were saying, if you kind of just pass it on, you don't, under GDPR now, lose that responsibility for that data, because if you've collected it, you need to keep it up to date, and you need to be able to kind of find it when somebody perhaps asks for it to be deleted and so on. So for me, one of the main interesting areas is this policing of it may not necessarily be top down via the commission itself, but it may be between businesses looking at who they're working with and where risk might be involved, because as we're saying, there may be that out of the gates enforcement that may kind of perhaps scare people a little bit into thinking, you know, where is this data going, and you know, is this being treated as well down the road as it is here in our own business?